Hello and welcome to another episode of Hobby Night School. We are very honored this evening to have the man himself, Dr. Collectibles, joining us. He is everywhere. You are seeing him all over social media. He is taking the hobby by storm. I had the pleasure of meeting him in person in Atlanta at Culture Collision, and you guys, if you don't know who he is, I don't know how, but you can, we're going to ask him a bunch of questions tonight and see what he's up to. So it's so nice to have you here with us, Doc.
No, thank you. I appreciate y'all for having me on. I appreciate y'all platform and what y'all do for the hobby. It's nothing but thanks over here for real. I'm happy to be on too.
Mr. Collectible, you set the bar incredibly high. I mean, very, very high. Courtney called me from Atlanta. She was at Culture Collision, and she's like, I am excited. I've got somebody we're going to chat with at Hobby Night School. And she's like, Dr. Collectible. And then she went on and ranted and raved for 5 minutes singing your praises. And then it's like one of those things, like Chrysler 300. You didn't know what a Chrysler 300 was until you saw one. And then you were keenly aware that they were everywhere. So I was like, I had heard the name. I had kind of seen your stuff here and there. But oh my goodness, the moment she said that, you are everywhere. You are in my feed. I try to go and watch a baseball game, Dr. Collectible. I go to a restaurant with my kids. It's Dr. Collectible, man. So congratulations on the success that you're having. And just know that this interview better be a home run, man, because Courtney talked you up.
Man, definitely, we have a home run, man. It's World Series right now.
So what are you up to? Like, what are the main things that you're focusing on in the space right now?
So far as with me and the hobby, I look at myself as a space and a void where new people can come in the hobby and see what it's all about. I'm not just about cars, but also I'm about video games, NFTs, fantasy sports, toys, things of that nature. So I try to talk about a lot that's about collectibles, but also with me going to car shows, things of that nature, and having something that I have called the pull-up tour. Basically, the pull-up tour, I go to different car shops around the country and showcase them through my social media. And that's what I've been trying to bring to the hobby lately is something different. Um, Also with Car Shop Live, I have my own show on there called On Deck as well. Um, I was blessed with the opportunity to talk with Tim from Slab Strong, and he got me with them. And after that, we talked about some things, we got some chemistry going, and I had my show On Deck. We just did the 10th episode not too long ago. We did a big giveaway for that. Um, but also, with them, we got plenty of ideas. I recently did something a couple months ago for the Super Bowl where I did a break for NFL All Day. They sent me some packs, and I went live through Car Shop Live doing that. So it's definitely been a blast for me, and what I'm trying to bring to the hobby myself, and as well the people that are behind me.
That's awesome. We're really huge proponents of making it like comfortable for people who are new in this space, to get an understanding of what collecting is, and that is great to see more people engaging in that kind of content.
No, I appreciate that. I definitely think it's all about bringing good content to the hobby. Um, you also want to have genuine content. Be honest with people. Be yourself. I think even with y'all platform, I definitely think y'all be yourself a lot. Like me, I'm in my nature. I'm at Level Up Games in Atlanta. Um, People play Pokemon here from all the way to collecting sports cards. So, I'm in my element.
That's
And
awesome.
so that's when it comes to content.
This might be our first episode live from like a gaming store, so I think that's cool. Something that you said that was interesting to me is talking about like all the different types of collectibles, and I feel like that as the space gets bigger, we are seeing so many more different forms of collecting. I was watching, because I'm on TikTok and I constantly scrolling through TikTok. I found a guy who collects vintage cereal boxes, and I was like
Wow.
blown away. I'm like, people collect that? Like, who collects this? And I'm looking at my cabinet. I'm like, should I be saving some of these boxes? Are they going to be valuable someday? It's so funny the things people collect.
She's lying. We've
Nah,
got 3 kids. There is no box cereal over here. It's those $3 bags
It's a
for all the
big bag of
kids.
cereal.
There ain't no boxes over here.
I actually bought a box of Pops the other day, and it lasted like 30 minutes before the monsters ate it all.
Doc, let me tell you something, man. The way that you look at the hobby and being transparent and being your authentic self, I think is so refreshing. When we decided that we were going to share our journey and be transparent as possible, good, bad, ugly, we did that because we didn't see a lot of that in the hobby. We saw a lot of people flaunting 5 and 6 figure cards and winning and getting over on other people, and that's just not who we were. And so I know for a fact, because people have gravitated towards us who are newer entrants into the space, you going about it the way that you're doing, you're going to have tremendous success. And you're touching more categories than we. We're touching cards, your collectibles, all across the board, sports, toys, TCG. And so I think it's just really, really awesome. I wish there was more people who operated that way.
No,
It is
man,
cool.
I definitely agree with you, man. I think it's more a lot to the hobby. With me, for example, when I first started my real journey in the hobby, I was playing a lot of video games. I collected video games, things of that nature, and I had an Xbox Series X, sold it for like 1,200 on eBay, and I bought it for 550 when it first. So, like I said, at this time, I wasn't really making any money off playing video games. Decided to sell that and put my money where my mouth was and bought my first Kobe auto. It's a fat floor. It's a PSA 10 and sent it to Golden. They got it graded for me, and from there, um, came back with like 3,700. And then I started investing in the clothes. Um, I started investing into, just the brand itself, trying to create something for myself, my hobby, my identity. So for me, I feel like it's a lot when it comes to the hobby than just cards. And yes, cards is my thing. I love cards, but it's so much more
It
that
is.
the
There's like
hobby has to offer.
it's like tons of offshoots. That's, we met at Culture Collision, and I think that show in particular is a really good representation of what your space is in the hobby, because I walked through that show, and there were sunglasses, shoes, art, video games, toys, obviously sports cards, but then TCG and Star Wars and all of this other stuff, and it was so like refreshing to see
Mm.
a space where everybody who maybe has a lot in common but not 100% in common, because there are people in there that are like hardcore sneakerheads, and there's people in there like hardcore Funko Pop collectors and comic book collectors, and then to have a space where everybody was all together, like indulging their collecting habits, I guess. It was super cool to see, and I feel like you in particular with your content, you're kind of you're creating a space for all of those people online to come and meet up.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. Something that I heard Jeff Wilson from Sports Card Investor, he said about bringing, someone new to the hobby. And I think that's something big when you're new to the hobby or you're introducing someone, and, that first impression is everything. Whether if it's taking them to a car show or a car shop, or any type of event of that nature, just even them bringing them into cars. So I definitely think it's something big. Like I say, once again, that the hobby has to offer, but also, the entertainment part. I think people will enjoy the hobby more. You know, Sometimes I look at social media and I see them hard negotiations, and sometimes, like I say, that could be intimidating for people, you know, especially someone new that's in the hobby, and all they think when they go to a car show is they're going to be guys just dealing, dealing, and dealing. Yes, that's a big number of it, because people also is making a living from it, but also what else are they going to get from that experience? So I think there's definitely something big when it also comes to putting out that.
I agree. I think that, one of the questions that Jeremy and I get asked all the time is, oh, how did you get your wife into collecting? You're so lucky that she is so into this and blah, blah, blah. I collected before I knew Jeremy, so none of that, like, it's not really relevant. But since we've been going to some of these shows and, the content that's out there, like yours, like, Mama Breaks, like, all these other
Yeah.
people that are bringing in content that is more inclusive in the space, and you see people doing things outside of just, old vintage baseball cards, which a lot of people thought. When I tell people I collect sports cards who have no idea what sports cards are, they think I'm collecting like smelly old brown cards. And like, first of all, vintage cards are amazing and you don't know what you're talking about. But it's a lot more than that. That the space is growing and it's expanding to like encapsulate more types of collecting and more types of people. And in my opinion, it's better for everybody. And it's more youthful, and we want to see younger people getting into the space, and people like you who are fun, energetic, explaining things. That's what's going to draw young people into this space. It's not grumpy old people at card shows that don't seem like they want you to even talk to them.
No, I agree with you on that and that standpoint. There's been people that brought the hobby and educated me. People like Collector, Get and Flip It, Prism God. Like I said, Coach Cliss was one of my first shows that I went to.
You're
And
spoiled.
yeah, the rundown just on cards and knowing different brands and just identifying cards that you think will last long in the next 50. So for me, it's about being honest, and especially to the kids in the hobby. I think you should be honest with them and let them know, because they're going to be.
I think that everything that we're talking about is incredibly important and relevant. We have a pretty big show that's maybe 20 minutes from our house that takes place essentially bi-weekly. It's over 100 to 125 tables. They routinely have, good athlete signings, like Jose Canseco was just there. We've gone to that show 2 or 3 times. Every time we go, it is the same dimly lit, terrible, like nobody's got any show. Not everybody. I don't want to, because I'm sure there's people out there grinding, doing a really good job. But as a whole, it's dark, it's gloomy. People don't have any pizzazz. People act like they do not want to be there. And so when we're bringing our friends and we're trying to welcome to the space, we're grown, we're old. People want to go and be in a certain sort of environment. Not to say that those shows are bad, but if that's your first experience is walking around with old guys who don't want to talk, who are rude and aren't willing to have a conversation or educate or help you out and let somebody win a deal, I think those shows are not good for the hobby. Progression, like Culture Collision, and even just having these conversations, I feel like we have a responsibility to, be more vocal about this if this thing's truly going to grow over the coming years like everybody expects.
I agree. You're speaking all facts right there. The hobby is going to grow. I think it's going to continue to keep growing. I think in like pandemic times and things of that nature, the numbers going crazy. Yes, I do feel like we're going to get there again. The cars are steady right now. There are a lot of kids. For me, for example, like when they come to cards, when I collect cards, I'm collecting legends. I don't get into the new big names, the prospects. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely support them. But I don't get into their cards as much. So, like for example, when I think about investing in a Hall of Famer, I'm looking at like a Derek Jeter card that I bought last year. And the timing is what I'm thinking. Like, okay, I knew his documentary was going to come up. Maybe 6 months beforehand, it was a dual auto, him and King Griffey Jr. numbered out, and bought it for around $600. Ended up selling it for like, I think it was like 11 or 12, maybe close to 13. You know, eBay and things of that nature. But ended up selling it around the time that I knew that Derek Jeter documentary was going to come out. That's high. All I feel like sometimes too much of a breaking, so it's kind of hard to stay away from that.
It is. I had a similar situation with Magic Johnson. I had heard that he was going to have a documentary, and there was like a lot of hype, but people hadn't, like, not a lot of people were paying attention to it. And I bought up a ton of his rookie cards and ended up selling them for like 8 times what I had bought them for. And I bought those like pre-pandemic, and then I sold them like mid-pandemic. So I was pretty pleased with that that one. I got in on the Disney stuff pretty early too. I know that stuff's going crazy right now. I was buying that before everybody went nuts on it.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. I saw the tweet. I'm like, wow, she has a few boxes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, you on wholesale?
I'm holding like some, selling some. The last box I sold for like $600, and I put it up on eBay, like not even thinking that anyone would pay that much for it, because I saw that some of them had sold for like 400. It was up for 5 minutes, and it sold for $600. Buy it now. I was like shocked because I didn't think it would sell for that much.
That's the hobby for it. That's the hobby. No, like, look, we talking about Disney. You went to, like, even me, I collect what are they, ticket stubs. All the Marvel movies I went to, I collect them and the PSA to get graded. The Marvel guy. Like, I like the fact that you brought that up. So I thought that was pretty cool.
No, I think it's good that you brought up the legend thing too, because our process is pretty simple, and it's not 100% this, but it's overwhelming this. We buy in the off season. So we just sold all of our baseball over the last couple of weeks before anybody gets hurt and before there's all the buzz. And now we have switched. And like I would say 95% of our purchases are football. We're sending off to get stuff graded routinely. We're making sure that we're buying the appropriate brands, because a couple of years ago we might have bought like a clearly Don Russ or an offshoot brand that doesn't have the same resale value. And at National, we'll be flush with football, we'll switch, and we'll adjust to basketball. And it's not always sexy, and it's not always fun. Like, we get caught up in the moment. If let's say my Bulls make a run and Zach LaVine continues to ball out of his mind, I just picked up a Zach LaVine card for like a PC piece last week, but I think there needs to be more talk about, by the time you see it on Instagram, you're probably already a little bit too late.
I agree.
And I want people to win, because if people are going to win, there's more participants, there's more activity. If people get their ass kicked and lose every time, then like, what the hell are we doing? We're going to run out of people to help, build it up.
Well, bringing it back to the Disney stuff, like when I saw that, I liked it because I liked it. It didn't even occur to me that there would be like a ton of intrinsic value in it, because I was just like, who collects Disney cards? Like, it was just like, I love these. My kids will love them. And they did. And we had so much fun ripping them. And then it felt like overnight, all of a sudden it switched and they were super valuable. Now, I had purchased a bunch of them and I sold them to my friends for exactly what I paid for them. I could have held those, or I could have tried to make money off of them. But to me, like, I'm not going to make money off of my friends and the people I care about. I want them to be able to have as much fun in the space as I'm having. And part of that is being able to have access to these things at an affordable rate, which now anyone who wants a Disney box, good luck. It's so expensive.
Exactly. That's what the hobby is all about. Like, I like the fact that you went to your friends, I like the fact that I call it the circle of success. You know, when you have your good following people or just friends in general, and you're able to pass down certain things like that, especially when they might have an interest. You know, I think that's pretty cool. Uh, I think that's what the hobby is like moving forward with just new brands. I love what Tops is doing. I thought that was pretty incredible.
I gotta get myself a slab strong card now.
Kudos to him, Mama Breaks,
Jeff, who
Jeff
else is on
Wilson,
there?
and the mothers for actually
Aaron and Ryan.
Aaron and Ryan, yeah. Like,
Right.
honestly,
getting on them cards. Hobby, like that's pretty cool, especially for the content creators. That's taking the next level. That's showing the future content on how to move. I just thought that was pretty dope. Kudos to everyone that made it on that list.
to me, it makes sense to have those kind of cards, though, because we collect cards. We follow the people we like who collect cards, who are in the space. Like, they have a bit of infamy within this space of collectors, so it makes sense to me that they would have a set of cards that would have collectors in them.
Exactly. I feel exactly what you're saying with that.
So let's switch gears. We all want to grow the hobby. You're over on Card Shop Live. Am I saying it right?
Mhm.
You're the first person we've talked to everybody from Network, Drip, Whatnot, eBay Live. You're the first person we've had to talk about that platform. Educate some of us who really don't know what that is and what it's like.
So usually I tell people my first experience with the platform. I came across it and I thought it was pretty cool because when I first downloaded the app, I seen that they sell not only cars but also they're into TCG. I seen like NFTs on there, sneakers, just so many different things. And like I say, the first thing that grabbed me was live. So on the platform, there are many breakers that are on the platform, and a lot of them are pretty cool. Celebrity car breaks, geo breaks, flushing breaks. I can keep going. Sports cars, like there are so many cool breakers on there. And as far as with me and what I do on the show, on deck, I talk about the big hits that are going to come out every week far as with the different hobby boxes, what they have to offer, whether it's a one-on-one, Nebula. I'm talking anything from Prism all the way to Bowman. You speak it, I'm talking about it. So, and the pretty cool thing about it is that I go to different hobby influencers and get their takes on these hobby boxes and seeing what their thoughts are and share them with the audience. So now,
That's cool.
no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying that's cool. That's cool that you do that.
No, I appreciate that. Like, it's a different vibe, and the great thing about it is that we're growing the audience. Not only I'm talking about the hobby boxes, but the breakers on the app are ripping these boxes. And on top of that, we just continue to build the audience every week. So I think it's a pretty cool thing what I'm doing, what I'm bringing to the platform, and I like what they're doing on their platform. I look at them as like an underdog coming up, and you know, anytime I'm able to make things happen on my end and share the wealth, like they push me as well. So that's why I definitely love about what me and Card Shop Live have going on and what they're doing as well.
I find it so intriguing that you have a show on that platform that doesn't involve actually selling cards. You're just on there educating people on a platform like that. That is really cool. I guess I didn't realize that is what you were doing. I thought you were like a breaker. You sold stuff as well. So that is super cool. Is it mostly breaking, or do people sell singles? How does that work?
So people sell boxes, people sell singles, and also it's categorized to where you can search some of your favorite breakers and seeing what they're selling as well. So say if it's something that that it's a new box that's selling. Not only your favorite breaker or somebody that you're watching on your watch list may have the box that you want, but they also could be breaking it that night, and you can get in. You also get alerts, which I like about app is just pretty cool and an overall aspect, and it's continue to grow as well. What is it? I believe it's sports car nonsense. They was one of the first ones where I got into them, and I really started getting into Car Shop Live as well. And like I say, Slab Strong Tim, he also introduced me to them as well. And then, like I say, the magic just happens from there.
So we're, be remiss not to ask a little bit about, you see the stuff going on with Whatnot and the breakers being shady and all of that. Does Card Shop Live, are they like zero tolerance? They don't tolerate that? Or how are you navigating that with that kind of situation? Have you heard anything?
So, far as with our breakers, the great thing about it is that I had a relationship, or I tried to follow them on Instagram, things of that nature. Um, I followed the breakers first, and then no, Car Shop Live. I followed Car Shop Live, then I got into the breaks and started checking out them and seeing, what their rates are like. Even on the app, there's people giving their ratings, and you can also see their sales and everything they have done on the platform is displayed for you to actually see that.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
yeah, so you actually seeing what that breaker is doing, what their ratings are and what their sales are like. But with Car Shop Live, I have never heard anything, even with me having a relationship with the breakers on there. Um, and also, just trying to create partnerships and relationships with them guys because they're trusting me.
I think sometimes being a smaller platform, they have the onus on them to be more diligent
Mhm.
is there because, if you're trying to build something up, one bad like breaker is gonna like it's gonna cause you a lot more harm than it would like a larger platform. So that is something that's really worth like noting.
No, I agree. I think there's have to be something done when it comes to like breakers and what I seen, what happened, like you said on Whatnot. That was just that was disgusting. I was like, I can't believe that's going on. Well, I can kind of believe because there's people out there like that in the hobby. But what I will say is that I like how the hobby stood up together. Um, People that I don't know, do know, spoke up on it. And when you start seeing people gravitate, you seeing a day or two later, Whatnot had a statement. So I thought that.
Yep. Well, there's more of us than there are of them. So
Doc, I love that you're doing the show where you talk about the upcoming products and what why they're good, why they're bad, or like what maybe some of the industry chatter is. One of the things that I first liked when I first checked out Sports Cards Nonsense a couple years ago was, Mike does this weekly where he talks about the products that are coming out and at the price point why he thinks they're a good box because he's somebody who actively he rips products. And so for people who don't know, just that that 5 minutes of that show, even though I've got a pretty good understanding, I always thought that to be like very valuable. And my friends would, hey, I'm going to go buy this box, and it would be like, you might want to listen to this. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, but I think truly education needs to be nonstop in the space if it's going to be sustainable and people are going to have fun and be successful. And that's not just like from a monetary perspective. It's just if you're losing, ultimately you're not going to have fun. You have to have some small wins throughout, otherwise people are going to fall off. So kudos to you to do a show where it's education and you're not trying to sell something to somebody.
Nah, appreciate that. Thank you. That's the one thing that I try to do is be genuine. And when it also comes to that, you're getting the actual, you know, information from people like Mama Breaks or Cage Lawyer or people of that nature, the Cardone, which I talk to them about these hobby boxes. and they're trusting me to put this information out there to the audience. So I try to make sure that I'm genuine on both ends when it comes to me receiving information and putting it out there.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of the people in the hobby that, know what they're talking about. It's not just like random people too, so that's awesome. It's like it's so important to have education. Jeremy and I talk about this constantly. That's what started Hobby Night School is things like basic things that people don't know. Like how do I post something on eBay? Like literally we did a whole episode of how to just make eBay posts. How do I insure my sports cards and my collection? How do I file taxes for collecting cards? All of these like little things that it seems like everyone wants to be like the big showy people doing all this like like crazy extravagant stuff, and then you have people like you who are like doing education in a super fun way that draws more people in and at the same time is educating them. So that's fantastic.
No, I appreciate that. I'm really big about education, even with I also do an after school program, and I also be teaching kids about cards and the statistics, how to come up with these numbers. But also, they have eBay's where they're putting them out and running, and also teaching these kids on how to become entrepreneurs. You know, that's something I do on like Monday through Friday basis, and it's something I don't talk about as much that I feel like I'm supposed to. But when I do get a chance to and come on a platform, it's big. But also how I learned about cars, how my dad taught me about cars, and you know, how to break down the numbers that your favorite player had that season. It's a lot that come with cars, and I think it's good to go back to them bases sometimes.
So you said something and Courtney said something, and we've talked about this a little bit, but when you can make education fun and you can make it in a way where people don't even recognize that they're being schooled or they're learning something new, there's tremendous value in that. So we owe the hobby, a couple of bucks or a big thank you, because part of why we've had, success, and for us success isn't just necessarily monetary. It's we have two teenagers and two little ones. How often do teenagers who are both in high school want to hang out with mom and dad? Not very often. However, they get to come and hang out with mom and dad. They get to buy, but they're learning skills that they're probably not learning in school. Interfacing with somebody, marketing, understanding how money works,
Negotiating.
negotiating, and amongst a million different things. And so to them, they just look at it as like, hey man, we got to go to Cleveland for the weekend and go to a card show and go out to eat, and they focus in on like some of the other stuff. But unbeknownst to them, they're learning, they're listening to mom and dad, they're paying attention to why we did something, what's the thought process behind it. And so to hear you talking about doing stuff with kids, on a side note, big ups to you. I used to do the Big Brother program, so that's something that's near and dear to my heart. And I think if more people did stuff to help children out, this world would be a better place. End rant. But making education fun, dude, that is awesome. I love that, and that's clearly something that means something to me because I just ranted for 2 minutes, so I'll shut up.
Nah, man, I think education is big, man. Teaching the youth will go a long way. What y'all are doing, um, that's a beautiful thing. Y'all sharing what y'all love. Y'all sharing what what y'all are in every day. I see y'all, and making time for that, but also being able to share that with y'all loved ones, and being able to plant them seeds and instill that into them, and they're enjoying it. It's a blessing, man.
We do consider ourselves lucky. It is so wonderful to watch our kids grow in this space and like learn and go to shows and make deals. Steven was actually like sitting at the table selling cards this last show, not just like buying stuff he likes. He was doing deals, making trades, and I attribute that to just the years of like following us around and trying stuff out and seeing if it works. And it's cool.
My favorite thing, and it was like a proud moment. It wasn't a deal that Steven won. If you were looking at it in those terms, I'm just saying it that way. But it was without talking to mom and dad. There was a kid that was doing a trade up challenge or something like that, and he made it a point to let the kid win in a big way. And like, it wasn't like he got had. It wasn't because he was foolish. It was a direct result because he's like, mom and dad, look what I did. Now he's going to be able to, he took like a $5 card and turned it into $20. And by the end of the show, the kid had leveled up to like, the kid out hustled all three of us. Like he ended with like a $500 card or whatever it was. But it made me so proud for the kid our kid who's personally incentivized to do something, to put somebody else in front of him. You know what I mean? And so that was awesome. So it made it a lot easier when I got home and he didn't take out the garbage or lied about something, not to beat his ass. So
we don't hit our kids.
Yo, that's cool, yo. Like being able to share stories like that. The hobby should be able to hear things like that. Like there's so many untold stories and things that I hear about all the time, and like you being able to share that, it's like, that's hidden gems right there. That's what I call it, and people should be able to want to share stories like that. I hate the bad stories that come out of the hobby all the time, or people being done wrong, and like I say, for y'all, I feel like y'all got a true heart to this, for real.
Well, I appreciate that. I think it's important. I think it's nice to see you, out there. You told me you had some innovating ideas. So we have a little bit of time left. I wanted to hear a little bit about what's next for you. What are you doing next in this space?
So, right now I am being focused on different ways of being able to make a living within the hobby. That has been one of my biggest goals this year, because last year I went through a lot of like selling cars and things of that nature, and selling a lot of my PC, or going deep into the PC to flip things of that nature. So now it's like, for me, it's all about bringing what I know to the hobby. It's so many ways of making revenue in the hobby, whether if it's doing partnerships, whether if it's with me, doing the after school program. So it also has something to do with the hobby, whether if it's selling cars. It's so many ways to be able to enjoy yourself. And like I say, even if it's a side living for you, I think it's possible ways, it's too many ways to be able to create something for yourself. And I think for me, I'm creating that living, making a living off this as well. And that's been like I say, my forefront. And I love every avenue revenue stream that I'm making for myself, because when I looked at the hobby, I wanted to make sure that I wanted to do things that I seen what people are not doing, or trying to bring something that's different and try to elevate it and see how people take on with it. So that's been my big thing for 2023, and try to move forward. And I think it's going to be a great year. I've been having some nice following from a lot of people, and people supporting me. So,
well, we do. I met you in person, watched you playing basketball with your hair flying, just like wild man out on the court. You were just like, you went full bore. I'm like, this guy he is holding nothing back. Like, I was super impressed. And then we went out to dinner with Tim, and he introduced us, and I was like, oh man, this kid is great. I instantly liked you. And I like to think that for the most part that I have a decent judge of character, and I was right. You're great, and I'm super excited that you agreed to come on with us tonight. I did wanted to shout out one more thing for you, is that you were you were hanging out with your buddy who he wants to do music in the hobby. Is that like something else? Is he still doing that? Are you still supporting that for him?
yes, it's interesting that you said that. Oh man, I got something nice that I'm working with him on. His name is Jose Rivera. He's one of my, I would say this, one of the artists that I sponsor with like my clothes, photo shoots, things of that nature. And we're gonna do something with some cards. And he's looking to drop a freestyle with some random graded cards that I'm planning on flipping out. We're gonna put something together. I'm glad you said that. Be tuned for that. Once again, his name Jose Rivera. He good people's of mine, and also something big as well. One of my cousins, his name is Dan Williams. Third, he's in the XFL. I'm also help sponsoring him. Got the collectible and things of that nature. I want to start getting him into trade shows. Um, doing signage, really being able to get into the memorabilia, things of that nature. I think that's a lot for him as well. So it's a lot that I have going on, and it's a lot that I've been wanting to share and things of that nature. But no, I'm glad that you brought that up about the artists and the music, and shout out to RPS as well and what they're doing and how they're bringing music to the hobby. So I'm gonna try to bring on a little taste with Jose Rivera, man. He's dope.
Let's go. See, I remember you having that discussion. I thought that was so cool. We've been. I think that's neat. And again, that's another offshoot of things that people are just doing in this space that are innovative. There's like a lot of really cool success stories within the hobby, and it's cool to talk about it. So,
it is going to be a pain in the ass for us to sell cards if we have to drop freestyles, Court. I mean, I'll be all right, but I know you don't have bars.
I have no rhythm. I don't. I am what I am, and it is not a musical artist. I can't carry a tune in a bucket, and I dance like every middle-aged white mom that you have ever seen with like the.
She's not wrong, Doc. She is not wrong. Hey, but if that's where the hobby goes, where you have to drop freestyle, you better believe we're gonna try our asses off, and maybe I'll get Drake. Really I'll get Drake's Ghostwriter to help it out. Okay, what you got to do to slang them slabs.
Oh God. Lord help me if I have to sing. I'm sorry in advance to everyone who would ever have to hear that. So
you're talented to the world.
I'm talented in other ways. It's definitely not singing though. So well, we appreciate you. I know you are a busy person, and I don't want to keep you for hours, although I could talk with you for hours because you are a blast. I will link all of your stuff. What nights do you do your show so people can look for that?
So basically, I usually drop every Monday, or if not, if we don't get time, usually it's during that week. This week was very interesting is that I was trying to get to San Diego for, I believe it was the Union Marketplace. I was trying to get to that event. There was a lot of things that happened in Mississippi and Alabama as far as weather, and stopped me as well in Atlanta from getting out there. So kind of stuck at the airport all weekend, things of that nature. And I was actually working on that show and putting that together actually. So I'm definitely going to be talking with the production team, and they're should be dropping it this week.
Excellent. So we will link all of your stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. You're awesome. We'll link your buddy's his stuff if you send that to me, so people can go find him and give him a follow too.
Nah, definitely. Appreciate y'all and what y'all do, and this duo, this team into the hobby. If I could speak for the people in the hobby, we appreciate that.
Thank you. Appreciate you. All right, everyone. Until next time, make good choices and stay safe in the hobby. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.